Hi guys, my name is Adriana and I'm pretty nervous right now because this is my first video, but I've been wanting to make this video for years now. I just never really had the courage to do so, and I just think that it's time. I think that it's good for me to maybe get to interact with other people that have the same struggles as I do, or just if my video could help at least one person out there in the world, then that's enough for me to feel like I succeeded at something. And I just wanted to get this video out and maybe hopefully communicate with other people and we can help each other out. But by the title of this video, you know what it's about. It's about my vitiligo. It's about me living with vitiligo. And it's just telling my story and hoping that my story can help somebody, and hoping that my story can bring us together and help each other out. And if I'm gonna try not to cry because I don't want to, because this is not about being sad, this is about helping move forward, but forgive me if I do. It's just a really sensitive subject for a lot of people. Okay, so I guess I should start by saying up until I was about 18, I would say, that's when it first started, 17, 18. I was pretty average, like anybody else. I don't want to say normal, because having vitiligo doesn't make you abnormal or weird or any of the things that you're thinking in your head. But up until 18, I never had this problem. I was fine. Like, I had skin color the same as everybody else. I didn't have any discoloration. That was not a part of my life. I had never dealt with anything like this before. So one day when I was 18, about to be 18, I remember there's a military base close by, and you could hear all the airplanes. Okay, I think he's gone. Anyways, when I was 18, I started getting vitiligo, and it started in a little tiny corner right in my eye. So I didn't have none of this. Everything was my normal skin tone. But I had a little tiny white corner that I literally woke up one day and it was there. It was out of the blue. It was from one day to another. It was totally unexpected. I woke up and it was already there. So it freaked me out, but not really, because I thought it was just, something temporary. Like, I don't know why it was there, but it was going to end up going away. That's what I thought, right? So a couple weeks went by and it was still there, and it was noticeable because obviously, like, I'm a medium skin tone, medium dark. So when I saw that little tiny white corner, it would stand out because I'm a darker skin tone, so you could really see it. And it started to bother me because I would do my foundation, my makeup, and it would like stand out, like it wouldn't really cover it. So it was starting to bother me, and of course, I mean, I was 18. That was at the time of my life when I was going out the most, with my friends, partying, whatever. So it would bother me, and it was there for about 2, 3 weeks, and it never went away. So then, I kept thinking, like, let me just give it time. It's gonna go away eventually. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's gonna go away. And next thing you know, like a month later, I started getting another white corner, but in my other eye. So it started with my right eye, and then it went on to my left eye, in the same exact spot, the same corner. So that's when I started to get scared. And I don't know if everybody else does this, but anytime anything's wrong with me, anytime I have some type of concern, instead of going to the doctor, I turn into my own doctor and I Google stuff and I start freaking myself out, and that's exactly what I did. I went on Google and I Googled, white spots on my skin, to see what I could find. And the first thing that pops up on my Google search is vitiligo. So, of course, I start reading about it, and one of the first things that I read is that vitiligo has no cure. It's incurable. So, that was like taking a bullet. And like I said, I'm going to try not to cry because this is not about being sad. It's about moving forward. But it scared me to death to think that it really was incurable. And as I kept reading all this information, I kept finding out more things like it's not curable. More than likely it'll grow, it'll spread. I started looking at pictures of people that had vitiligo. I started seeing to what extent it could get to. And when it's something that you've never experienced before and it all hits you at once, it really freaks you out. And that's exactly what happened. It freaked me out. I was scared. I started crying. I told my mom about it and I told her that it wasn't curable. Like, what am I going to do if it doesn't go away? I don't want it. And mind you, at that point, it was just 2 little corners in my eye. But it was going to spread because I read about it. And I knew that was going to happen. I knew what was coming, so that scared me. So my mom insisted on taking me to the dermatologist so that, we can get it figured out. And obviously, like, she'd never heard about it either. Nobody in my family had ever heard about this. So when I came to her telling her that it wasn't curable, that it wasn't going to go away and it was going to get worse, she didn't believe me. She thought I was crazy for reading Google and believing them. She thought that I should stop reading into that, and I was just worrying myself for no reason. She insisted that we go to the dermatologist. She insisted in taking me so many times, and I didn't want to. And I didn't want to, not because I didn't care about my health. I didn't want to because it was too scary for me to confirm it. I didn't want to go sit in a doctor's office for them to confirm everything that I already knew, because that was just going to make me even more scared. That was my biggest fear. I knew what was happening to me already, and I really didn't want a doctor to confirm it. So I didn't go. I refused to go to the dermatologist. I got super depressed. It affected me for so many years, and I cried about it so much. I remember sleeping through life because I didn't want to be awake and think about it. I'm sorry. I just wanted to hide in my room because it was too hard to face the reality of my life. And you can't help but wonder, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? And it's not that I wanted it to happen to somebody else instead of me. It's just that I didn't want it to exist, period. I didn't want this to happen to anybody. I wanted this to not exist for anybody. And for a long time, I was really sad, really unhappy, and it killed me. But I had to push myself because nobody was going to do that for me. And, my family has always been really supportive. All my friends have always been really supportive, the few friends that I have. Nobody has ever judged me for looking the way that I look, or nobody has ever thought any less of me for being who I am, or looking like this, or having vitiligo. And when you meet someone and you tell them, oh, by the way, I have this and this, and vitiligo is a part of my life. Like, I have these white spots. Like, you tell someone and they accept you, and they always say the same things. Oh, like, that doesn't change anything. You're still normal to me. You don't seem different to me. You're the same as everybody else. But I would hate when people would sugarcoat it for me. I hated that my whole entire family and everyone around me always wanted to create this perfect bubble for me to live in. And they wanted to make me feel like I was just as normal as the next person, that there was nothing wrong with me when clearly everything was wrong with me. And I hated that. I just wanted them to accept it for what it was. And let's talk about it like adults. Let's accept things for what they are, and let's find a way to move forward. I hated that they try to baby me, that they try to sugarcoat it, that they try to make it seem like there was nothing wrong when clearly I was struggling with this. Clearly it was bothering me. Clearly it was a really serious thing going on that they just wanted to sweep under the rug so that my feelings wouldn't keep hurting, so that I wouldn't keep crying about it, so that I wouldn't suffer through it. And the reality is, it's a really serious thing that you have to learn to cope with. You're not going to stop being sad overnight. You're not. Maybe some people don't even get sad, but that's just who I am. It hurt me, and when I'm hurt, I cry. It made me sad. It made me miserable. It made me mad. For a long time, I blamed God, and I wanted nothing to do with Him, because how dare He do this to me? And I just didn't have any answers. I wanted to stop being sad, but I couldn't. As hard as I tried, I couldn't. It was impossible for me to get over this. My life revolved around my vitiligo, day and night. Fast forward a few years of just depression and sadness and crying and suffering. I remember one day it got so bad. I was so sad. I couldn't take it. My heart hurt. My feelings were destroyed. Everything about me was just too hard. It was just too much for me to handle. I couldn't do it anymore. And I remember I was sitting in my car, and not that I would ever do this, ever, because I just wouldn't. But I felt so sad and so alone and so depressed. And I wasn't alone. I had all these people surrounding me. But when you're going through something like this, no matter how many people are right next to you, it feels like you're lonely. You feel lonely. You feel scared. You feel alone. And I remember sitting in my car so sad, driving home from the store. I had went to the store. When I was at the store, I remember I went to go try on some jeans. And mind you, ever since I started getting vitiligo, it only kept getting worse. So it started in the corners of my eyes. It started happening on my face, like on my cheek, right here, all under my eyes, on my forehead. It started spreading throughout the years of me knowing, ever since I found out. It started spreading. That specific day, I had went to the store and I tried on some jeans. I would try to avoid mirrors as much as possible because I hated looking at myself. It was so scary for me to look at myself. I didn't have the courage to do so. I couldn't look at myself in the eye and accept me for who I was. So I would avoid mirrors, because if I ever caught a glance of myself in a mirror, that was enough for me to make me cry all over again and make me sad all over again. So I just learned to avoid them. Unfortunately, when I was trying my jeans on, there's a huge mirror in the dressing room. I had to look at myself. And when I was trying on the other jeans, I saw that it was spreading on my legs, on my thighs. And I had never seen it because, like I said, I avoided mirrors because of this reason. But I couldn't avoid it. I was in front of this huge mirror. I had to look, and I saw it spreading on my thighs. And it was so much of it that it freaked me out, and immediately my heart dropped. I remember that day like it was yesterday. It made me so sad to look at myself and look at the way that my body was changing. I didn't even try on the jeans anymore. I put my clothes back on. I left the store. I walked into my mom's house and I went straight to my room. I saw her sitting in the living room and I went straight to my room. I didn't say hi, I didn't say anything. I walked straight to my room to go lay down and cry in my bed. Because it was too hard for me. And of course, my mom followed me to the room. I'm pretty sure she could tell that something was wrong. I'm sure she could see it in my eyes. So she followed me to my room. And she stood next to my bed and she asked me why I was crying. And I just told her that I wanted to die because I was so unhappy. Because I hated that this was happening to me and I couldn't do anything about it. And it was too much. I couldn't take it anymore. And I'm not crying. It doesn't make me as sad anymore to have vitiligo. It makes me sad that I let it affect me that much and that I let it drag me down that much. Thank God for never leaving me and giving me the strength to keep going, because that was a really dark time in my life. And I remember my mom telling me, it's not the end of the world, you're not different, like you're still normal, like you're not, this is not the end of the world, like everything's gonna be okay. I don't want you to cry about this. I want you to stop suffering with this. And of course, she sees her daughter cry and she wants to cry, and so she did. And she cried and she told me, like, I wish we could switch places. I wish I could take over for you. I wish that I could ask God to give me your vitiligo so that I can have it and you can be normal and not have to go through that. And I appreciate my mom for wanting to do that for me, but we both know that that's not possible. No matter how much you want to trade places with me, that's never gonna happen. That's just a reality. Like, I appreciate you for wanting to switch places with me and wanting to take over, but the reality is that I had to deal with it, and it wasn't gonna go anywhere, and it was only gonna get worse. So she let me cry it out, and I did, and I just kept suffering in silence for a long time. And after that night, after seeing my mom be in so much pain from me being in pain, I just started keeping it to myself, because that's not something that I wanted to put on my parents. I wanted to stop hurting them because I could see the pain in their eyes. I could see how much it would hurt them to see me hurting. So I just kept it to myself ever since then. And I would cry about it, but I would cry about it to myself. I just didn't want them to know how I was feeling and make them feel the same way. So I kept it to myself for a long time. My struggle, my daily struggle, because that's what it is. It's a daily struggle. I kept it to myself for the longest time. And I'm not gonna lie, there's days where I woke up and everything was okay and I was able to go hang out with my friends or hang out with my family, go out to the store, go shopping, go get my nails done, normal things that a normal person does. I had good days, but most of them were bad. And when they were bad, they were really bad. So that's how my life was for a few years, until one day I couldn't take it anymore. And I walked into my house and I told my mom and my dad, who were sitting in the living room, that I wanted to talk to them in private. We went to their bedroom and I started telling them I asked for help because at this point I needed them to help me. I needed them to help me so that they could keep me sane because I felt like I was going crazy. I had too many thoughts going through my head, really negative thoughts going through my head. And at this point, I just couldn't do it anymore. And for so long, I kept it to myself because I didn't want to hurt my parents. But it was to the point where I could no longer keep it to myself. I either had to tell them or I was going to explode. And I walked in there and I couldn't even get my words out. I was crying so much, I couldn't even talk. And they knew exactly what it was. I didn't even have to say a word, and they knew what was hurting me. They knew what the problem was, and eventually I started talking, and I told them, you need to get me some help because I feel like I'm dying. I feel like my life is coming to an end, and there's nothing that I can do about it. Like, I feel like I'm living a life that I don't want to live, and I feel like I'm dead inside. I don't feel normal. I feel like a monster. And I feel like I was done. I feel like there was no hope with me. I'm sorry. So, we cried together. We talked about it together. And we decided that the best thing to do was go to the doctor. Finally, after I would say maybe 3 years of not wanting to go, I finally accepted to make an appointment, and I let my mom take me to the doctor. At this point, I was already maybe 21, and I finally decided to go to the doctor, to the dermatologist. And I remember the day that I went to the doctor, my mom and my best friend went with me, Sarah, which she has been with me since day one and always supported me through all of this, and that's why I love her so much. So, all three of us went to the doctor. We saw the dermatologist, and of course, they confirmed everything that I already knew. And of course, that was one of the hardest days of my life. But I just had to be completely honest, I just had to get over it. I remember they gave me all these vitamins, all these pills, all these creams that I had to try. And mind you, I've been trying like home remedies for years because my dad's really into that. So anything you could possibly hear about that was a home remedy for vitiligo, I tried it. My dad made me try it. So it's not like I had never tried to cure it before. I've been trying like the homeopathic way, with home remedies and stuff like that. But of course, when I went to the dermatologist, they put me like all these different vitamins that I had to take and creams that I had to try to put on. And at that point, it wasn't as bad. It was just mainly like under my eyes and like a little bit on my face, like little dots. So I started using all the creams, taking my vitamins, and nothing worked because it was incurable. There's nothing that I could do about it. So the struggle just continued, and like I said, there's been good days, but there's also been really bad days. And I just remember thinking to myself, I walked into the dollar store one day and a lady walked in right after me. And I remember this lady, she was African American, so obviously her skin color was a lot darker than mine. And the darker you are, the more noticeable it is because obviously it's white, straight up white color on your face. So the darker you are, the more it's noticeable. And I'm like a medium skin tone, so I mean, you could definitely see it. You just can't see it as much as you would see it on someone that's a darker complexion. So she walked in and she had vitiligo. And I remember looking at her and thinking, I wish I was like her, because she had not one drop of makeup on. And mind you, I had been wearing makeup all these years to cover up. There's no way that I would ever leave my house without makeup. I had to put on makeup. There was no way around it. There was no way that anybody was going to make me leave my house for anything without having a full face of makeup. And even the day of my appointment with my dermatologist, I had makeup on. I took it off while I was in the room with my dermatologist, and I put it back on right before I walked out to a room full of people, because I was so insecure. I was so scared to be judged or to be looked at weird, because it had happened to me in the past before at a restaurant while eating. Like, people gave me looks, they stared at me, and I'm not even gonna blame them, because a lot of times people don't know. Like, ignorance is a real thing, and a lot of times, if I didn't have vitiligo, I probably wouldn't know what it is. I wouldn't stare at someone like that, but I wouldn't have known what it is. And I guess these people, didn't know what it was, and they judged me for it. So of course, that was right after that. I never left my house without makeup, ever, ever again. And I remember seeing this lady with her face full of vitiligo, and you could see it a lot because, like I said, she was a darker complexion. You could see her vitiligo so much, and she didn't care. She walked in there like anybody else would have walked in there. She did her shopping. I was almost like her stalker, just watching her live her life and thinking to myself, I wish I was like her. I wish I had the courage to live my life and not care about anybody around me. And I don't care about anybody's opinion. I just it was too embarrassing for me. I felt embarrassed for myself. It wasn't that I cared what they thought, it was that it hurt me for myself. And I thought to myself in that moment, I wish I was like her. I wish I had the courage to do what she's doing. And I remember checking out and getting into my car and sitting outside, and I waited for her to finish her shopping and walk outside so I could see her one last time. And and I was just asking God, like, if this is something that you want me to have, like, you already decided that this is what you want for me, that's fine. I'm not gonna fight you on it anymore, because I did. I fought with him a lot for years. I wondered why me? Why did you choose me? Not that I wanted it for somebody else, but out of all people in this world, it landed on me. And I just felt very attacked, and I just felt like he just hated me for this, and he just wanted me to have this for I don't know what reason. And it was to the point that it had been enough years of me like suffering through it. And I remember sitting in that car and asking him, please God, if you decided that this is for me, if you decided that this is what you're going to give me, and this is the life that I'm going to live, then please give me the strength to deal with it, because I don't have it. And my strength is coming to an end. There's only so much more I can take. And I was I was dying inside. And I asked him, I begged him, please help me, please give me the strength. Please help me accept this for what it is. Please help me be like this lady, so powerful and so unafraid, and just be myself. Just give me the strength to be myself and move forward with my life. And remember that, because there's a story coming next about that. So, after that, it was still pretty sad for a long time, but it was just like a constant roller coaster state of mind. Some days I would be fine, some days they would be really bad, some days I couldn't get out of bed, Some days I would just sleep my way through life so that I didn't have to wake up and face my fears. And that took a toll on my whole entire life. I was really depressed. And I remember one day specifically, I don't know if it was Mother's Day. No, it wasn't Mother's Day. I think it was my dad's birthday or my mom's birthday, one of their birthdays. And we were going to cook out for their birthday. And I remember I was really going through it at that time, having a really hard time with my vitiligo. And me and my sister-in-law at the time had went to the meat market to get the meat for the cookout. And here where I am, I live in Texas. So there's a lot of, Hispanics, Latinos, Mexican people here. And when you go to Mexican grocery stores or Hispanic grocery stores, they, for the most part, usually always have like a little, how do you say, it's like someone selling corn on the cob or corn in a cup. It's like a little stand, right? So that's usually like at pretty much every Mexican food store or anything like that. Sometimes even gas stations. So there was an elote stand, a corn stand, and I remember we were leaving. We had already got our meat. We were about to get in the car, and my sister-in-law told me that she wanted an elote, like a corn in a cup. She asked me if I wanted one, and I said no, but she wanted one, so we went over there to order it. So when we went to go order it at the elote stand, the lady that was selling them, she was an older lady, maybe like older than my mom, I would say. She was probably like in her 40s, maybe 50s, I don't know. She was an older lady. And she was helping like two customers that were there before us. So we were waiting our turn. And this whole time, I was talking to my sister-in-law, but I could feel this lady staring at me. I could feel her. Anytime that I looked over to her, she would be staring at me. She would be looking at me. Every single time. Like, she never lays eyes off of me. Throughout this whole time of us waiting there, which was like a good, 10 minutes, she was just looking at me. And sometimes that bothers me, just not to be mean, but having vitiligo, you're already, really, you feel like everybody's judging you. You feel paranoid. It's already hard to be out in public. So when I saw this lady just staring at me, I was getting thrown off. Like, why are you looking at me so much, But she was an older lady, so, it's not like I was going to say something to her. So I just continued to talk to my sister-in-law. Finally, it was our turn. My sister-in-law ordered, and this lady kept looking at me. She was still looking at me. She was the lady making the elotes. So she was still looking at me. And then finally she tells me in Spanish, but I'm going to say it to you guys in English. In Spanish, she tells me, "Can I tell you something, mija?" And I was like, okay. So she asks me, "Why are you so sad?" I couldn't even answer the question. Immediately, I started crying. I couldn't hold my tears back. I just started crying, and this is outside, like in the middle of the sidewalk, and all these people are walking by, and I just started crying like a baby. And she just stared at me this whole time while I was crying, and she insisted with the same question, "Why are you so sad? What's hurting you? I can see it in your eyes. I can see all your sadness. What's making you so sad?" So I continued to cry, and she continued to talk to me, saying, "There's things that we can't control." And at this point in time, I was going through a lot in my personal life as well, like issues with my parents, issues in my own personal life, and things were not good for me, period. All around, they were bad. And she told me so many things that only God would know. She told me so many things private things that I've never told anybody about, let alone this stranger, She was a stranger. I've never seen this lady before in my life, and she knew everything about me. She knew things that I never mentioned to anyone before, and these are all things that she told me in person in front of my sister-in-law. Like I had someone with me just to make, like, I'm glad I had someone with me so that they can testify to this story and make sure that I'm not going crazy, because this happened. It was a real thing. She told me so many things that only God would know, and I was just blown away at how much information she had about me. Like, and she told, at the end of everything, she told me, I'm not here by a coincidence. God put me in your path today. That's what she told me. She asked me if she could give me a hug, and I said yes. And she whispered in my ear, "This is not a coincidence. I'm here because God put me in your path today. And whenever you need me, you can look for me. You can talk to me because I'm always going to be here." And she gave me the biggest hug, and I just cried and cried and cried. Finally, we ended our hug, and I went about my way. On the way home, I called my mom, I called my dad, and I told them everything that had happened and what she told me, and they couldn't believe it, but thank God I had my sister-in-law with me, and she had heard everything, and she knew that I wasn't lying, and it was just so crazy that not too long ago I had been sitting in my car asking God for strength, asking Him to help me, asking Him to give me the courage, to give me the strength to move on with my life and to find happiness and to be okay. And a few days later, this lady comes into my life to tell me something like, God put me in your path today for a reason. This is not a coincidence. Like, it was something that I'll never ever forget. That moment I'll never forget. And I cried a lot that day, just thinking of what I had gone through. It was really crazy to me. I couldn't even believe it, but it happened. It was true, and I cried a lot. But it was tears, yes, of sadness, but also tears of relief, because I felt like I was so close to falling, and He caught me right at that moment. Like, it could have been a lot worse, and my life could have took a totally different path, and I could have fallen really deeply into depression, and He caught me right when I was falling. And that's something that I'll never ever forget, and it made me regret ever doubting Him. It made me regret ever questioning His motives or His reasoning. And in that moment I decided, I'm putting my life in your hands, God, because only you know what's best for me. And I'm not gonna lie, after that I still had a lot of hard moments in life. I still had moments where I felt like my life was worth nothing, that I wasn't worth anything. I felt defeated. I felt sad. I still had all of those things going on in my life. But he he gave me so much strength. So even though I've been battling with this for 10 years now, it's been really hard and really sad process to go through, but also I'm stronger now. He made me stronger. He made me understand that this is just my life and I have to deal with it. Like I said, I still get sad. I still have really dark days. I still struggle with my depression. I still have anxiety medication. I'm on antidepressants. And I'm not ashamed to say any of these things, because it's better to accept them for what they are than to live a lie. And for years, I was just locked inside my room crying every day instead of finding help. And I feel like by no means am I perfect. By no means am I happy now or perfectly happy now, but I'm a lot happier than what I was at that moment. I'm a lot happier. I'm a lot stronger, and I don't care what anybody has to say about me anymore. This is a me, and I'm not gonna apologize for looking the way that I look. I'm not gonna feel bad. I'm not gonna hide my face so that somebody else doesn't feel uncomfortable. If you feel uncomfortable looking at me, then don't. Just look the other way. Because I'm never again gonna hide who I am to please other people or to not make any other people uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And for years I thought that I had to hide myself because I was embarrassed of myself. That's not the case anymore. I'm not embarrassed anymore. And if you're embarrassed to be seen with me, then don't walk next to me. Walk out of my life because this is who I am. And I'm finally to the point of accepting myself. I can finally be that lady that walks into the store with no makeup on and feel okay. I can finally go out makeup free. I can finally, and it was a process. At first, it was just with my family. At first, it was just with my friends. Now I can go to the store. Now I can be around anybody in the world without makeup and not be scared or not be, you know. And don't get me wrong, sometimes when I walk into somewhere new without makeup, it's a little intimidating. But I just think to myself, this is who I am. And we all have flaws. Some people don't have vitiligo, but they have other flaws, and they have to walk around with those flaws, and they don't care. So why do I have to care? Why do I have to hide myself? And that's just the mentality that I have, and that I advise any of you to have that are going through the same struggle as me. Stop caring, because everybody has a flaw. It's just that maybe ours is a little bit more noticeable, but nobody's perfect. Nobody's ever, and I know that sounds so cliche, like nobody's perfect. Of course, nobody's perfect. But what I'm trying to say is that people are always going to judge you no matter what. They're going to judge you whether you have vitiligo, whether you have something that they can't even see. They're going to judge you, period. And if these people are judging you, they don't deserve to be in your life. So, my advice to you is be strong and be happy and look for help when you need help, because as much as we want to solve these things on our own and get over it fast and just take the easy way out like I maybe wanted to do, you're never going to be happy with that. You have to accept yourself, and I'm still working on it. I haven't accepted myself fully. I still have really, really dark moments in my life. But I just want you to know that there's baby steps to all of this. It's not going to happen overnight. It took me, I just stopped wearing all this makeup maybe about, I want to say, 2 years ago. Up until 2 years ago, I was still wearing makeup every single day of my life. And so I did that for a good 8 years. And like I said, it doesn't happen overnight, but when it finally does happen and when you finally get to the point of acceptance, that's when you're able to breathe again and live again. And it's not as bad as it seems. I mean, I know that for someone that's maybe just starting out with this situation, it seems impossible. It seems like you're never going to be happy and you're never going to get over this. And not to be like so graphic about it, but it feels like you just want to die. But it's not the end of the world, and it is going to get better. And one day you're going to accept yourself enough to not have to hide anymore. You're going to accept yourself enough, and you're going to love yourself enough to look for help and accept help. And I really hope that that day comes soon. I know that we all have to go through the suffering first, because like I said, it's a step-by-step kind of situation. Everything's not going to happen all at once, but once you find the courage to find help and accept the help given, then you're going to feel so much better. Once you find peace with yourself, with God, or whoever it is that you need to make peace with, you'll be so much better. And like I said, that can take years. Maybe it'll take less time for you than it did for me, but however long it takes, just know that you have a friend in me, and I'll be here for anybody that ever needs anyone to talk to, that needs a hug, that needs to cry, that needs to let it out. I'm here for anybody. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a stranger. I don't care. I'll accept you for who you are, and I'll never judge you for it, ever. You can tell me anything, and I'll never judge you. I'm sitting in front of this camera with my bare face, with my hair messed up, with my eyebrows not done. And that took a lot of time for me able to do this. It took years. But I'm here, and I made it. and I hope that God continues to give me the strength to continue to live my life. And this has turned into a 45-minute video. I don't want to keep you guys any longer, but just know that you have a friend in me, and I would really like to start a support group. I would really like to start something close in my area. I've tried to look for support groups close to me. I've never really had any luck looking for any. I'm finding any. I just feel like it's not. People are not really aware of what vitiligo is and how to deal with it, and especially coming from a Hispanic household, a Mexican household, my parents didn't really know how to deal with it. I kind of had to figure it out on my own, and you know, they don't know about depression. They don't know about anxiety. These are things that I had to figure out on my own and look help for. But like I said, if you need me to go to a doctor's appointment, I'll take you to a therapist. I'll take you to your doctor, to your dermatologist. I'll take you wherever you need to go. I just want this video to help at least one person out there and know that there is hope and things can change and you can be stronger than what you think you are. And I hope that me making this video today helps at least one person, and that's good enough for me. I'm not trying to get anything out of this. I just want you to know that I understand you. And I would love to have as many friends as possible that understand my situation, because of course my friends understand me and love me, and they want to be there for me as well as my family. But nobody really knows the struggle until you're going through exactly what I'm going through, and only people that have vitiligo would understand. So we can be friends, we can start a support group, we can do a lot of things together. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to send me a message. So leave me a comment and I'll reach out to you. I'll try to link my social media down below so that you can get in contact with me if you have a question, if you want to talk, if you want to cry, whatever it is, I'll help you through it. And I promise that everything is going to be okay. So thank you guys for watching this super long video, which, almost turned into an hour. And I really appreciate you giving me the time to tell my story. I do plan on making more videos, like makeup related videos on how do I cover my vitiligo, what foundations I use, things like that, and other stories that I have of me dealing with my vitiligo. So I hope that you stop by again and subscribe, and I hope that this is a place that you can come to and feel better, and I hope that this helps you in any kind of way. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.